Sure, I'm suspicious of being the spore case of a fungal organism that has split open and dumped the spores. And the reason I feel this way is because I'll see these things split, but then I'll see a whole bunch of spores kind of out around the edges of it, clumps of them. In this case, it just looks empty. So, which would, of course, come from some fungal organism somewhere.
From outside.
It could be growing in your gut, but you don't have any gut symptoms, I know that, you know. So
I
you don't
live
have
in
any
a
sinus
very
symptoms.
moldy house. Very moldy house.
Okay,
All
well
the time.
then,
Everything's
right.
mold, 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 mold.
Oh, right.
So our house it needs to be torn down, really. But then we don't have a place to live, so we really need to tear down all the walls and rebuild the walls because there's mold
Well,
everywhere.
that could be the primary source of your symptoms.
I'm worried about that.
So, yes, so I've seen some evidence of Borrelia, in other words, some spirochetal tick-borne thing, in some biofilm. I haven't yet, at this point, and it's been over an hour, haven't seen any free spirochetes swimming out here in the serum, right? So, a Lyme-like organism is in the background, it's there, it's a stressor in the system. You know, is your body reacting in an allergic way to cause the inflammation? You know, to the toxins of this organism or the organism itself, maybe. But if you have that kind of mold exposure, then potentially that's the bigger issue. But Mark doesn't have that, right? You don't have any symptoms, Mark?
Not really clinical systems. Sometimes when Odette's been complaining about headaches or...
Well, I don't get headaches, really.
Okay, well, there was a time soon after the wet weather when there was a flare-up of mold.
That's because
that I felt like...
Whoa, there's mold, I can smell it.
Well, there is a classic spirochete out here in the serum,
yeah.
see?
I see it. It's moving around.
Mm-hmm. It's actually coming, I think it's coming out of the cell here. Let me just try to focus on that better. Right, see it's exiting the cell. As the cells start to die, then the organisms perceive that this is not a very good place to stay anymore, and then they come out.
Poor thing.
So it's coming out.
Show it no mercy.
It's a long one, too.
It is a long one, yeah.
But then how do you know, how would I know it's not a main cause
Well,
of,
and
Of your symptoms. We don't know that.
the
But
household
it could
mold
be.
I haven't suffered from as much Odette as those hay bales that we were dealing with a couple years ago.
we had some really bad moldy hay bales and couldn't get any other ones, so
Oh,
we
wow.
plucked them apart.
Yeah, we had a supplier that had let his bales get wet and they were all full of mold and we couldn't get replacements, and so we were dealing with those 2 years ago.
And then we said, not again, so we built some special round bale holders so we never had to mess with these round bales again.